Okay. So as you probably have noticed, I kicked off Redline, the redneck. Um, he also dismisses that because he thinks he's not a redneck because he's from Florida, the dumbest state in the United States. It's oftenly joked as that, but he's an idiot. So what can you expect? Anyways, if you haven't noticed, he talked a lot of smack, and he likes to talk over people who are talking to him. Even though it's my show, you shouldn't be trying to talk over me. So he has no sense of manners or civility, which is expected from a redneck. As you notice, he's tried to dismiss my account about a geoid, a geoid being the actual physical structure of the Earth. Even this was discussed at universities. This is what I was taught in geography. Any sort of geographer from any university will probably tell you the Earth is not a sphere, it's a geoid. It's a geoid because sphere is a rudimentary, it's like a circle. They don't exist in nature. You don't have an actual circle. You will have a near circle, a near sphere, but it's not actually a sphere. That's what we often refer to as a geoid, being a structure resemblant of the Earth. Now, he said he dismissed my account by the actual words used in the text. Now, I'm going to show you how that's not true. Okay. I'm just using simply the definitions provided. Okay, a geoid is a shape that the surface of the oceans would take under influence of the Earth's gravitation and rotation alone, in the absence of other fluids such as winds and tides. So, in other words, he talks about how it's the gravitational distortion of the Earth. How the hell does gravitation distort anything? The gravitation is the actual structure something would take, because that's how it attracts molecules, and that makes up what it is. Gravitation is not just an interactivity between two objects. It's also the interactivity that an object has with itself. That's why black holes exist. The gravitational pull becomes so massive that the entire object is gobbled up from within. An implosion, in other words, happens. Well, not really, because a lot of the outer layers get shooted out, creating a supernova or a hypernova, but the innermost material gets sucked up. No, he says that what gravity does is it sucks. It doesn't actually suck. Okay, sucking is a motion that occurs by something of difference of material or osmotic material, you could say. It's simply when you suck in air in your lungs, for instance, it's because of the motion of molecules from the air being pushed into an area that they don't composed of. Okay, it's more like a diffusion, in other words. How natural diffusion occurs, in which area that doesn't contain matter is suddenly expressed with matter. Okay, that's what sucking really is. So he's using the wrong words. He even used the wrong words with the hourglass and silver if you haven't catch. The guy doesn't know what he's expressing, and he goes along with it until he has to check himself because he doesn't look like an idiot, even though he is an idiot. But I had to get him by himself to discuss, because otherwise I'll have 50 other people, and you just distract you. I mean, you'll have like 10 people calling you an idiot, and then like some random nerdy guy suddenly showing his face on his cam, which is an absolutely distraction. And you have geoid. You have Redline coming in every so often to actually bring an argument, but it's always a flawed argument. Take, for instance, the image he talked about, and he liked to convey, because he likes to talk to himself. You've noticed he likes to be the guy in charge, even though he says this is my chat. He obviously took charge in it, discounting his own statement or whatever. So, the guy is absolutely convoluted jackass, in other words. And I apologize for using that swear word, but he just constantly swears when he feels like it. So the guy obviously has no sense of manners. And for him to be part of an astronomy club and continuously using curse words, I don't see that, unless he has some white male privilege or something like that you see feminists talk about. I may discredit that, but clearly he's part of that. Must be somewhat of wealth or something. Of course, he's going to say he's not of wealth, but clearly he has to be of something, because I don't have that kind of privilege that he does, and I'm of the same color as he, perhaps paler even. since I myself am from Florida, born in Florida, but I'm not raised in Florida. I was raised in Virginia, which can be argued part of the South, but it's actually part of the Mid-Atlantic. And that's because there's a large amount of influence from D.C. poured into Virginia, as well as from Maryland, which is part of the Mid-Atlantic, or at least culturally currently part of the Mid-Atlantic. The middle area between New England and the South that New York and New Jersey are also part of. What I don't understand really is how he says how the geostructure presentation of the Earth isn't actually what the Earth looks like, that if you have enough matter lumped together, it creates a sphere. Well, yeah, eventually it does with gas giants and stars, not with the Earth or Mars or Venus. And he says, well, the Earth is presented as a sphere. Well, you have the atmosphere that kind of distorts it from actually what the Earth looks like. You also have oceans as well, which fill up a lot of the void you otherwise would have. So you're not really going to see the actual appearance of the Earth if you're putting into what the Earth looks like with its oceans and its atmosphere. You have to actually remove that, and then you get a whole different image of what the Earth looks like, and it certainly is not a sphere. If you go to the Earth's core, maybe that might be a sphere. But the Earth is very lumpy, and it has to be lumpy for tectonics to work, plate tectonics. Okay, that's actually part of that. And the whole image you have with the Earth having all these nooks and crusts to it, that might be evident of explaining where the moon comes from, because the moon comes from debris that originally derives from the Earth. Okay, some say that it might have been a collision in the past where something the size of Mars hit the Earth, and that gash in the Indian Ocean may evidently be that. Who knows? But he knows he likes to entice and anger people. He has very little self-control, and he has a very high-pitched, whiny voice, which he really should learn how to control, that we can talk properly as a male human and not as, well, I'm not going to get further into that because I have friends that do have high-pitched voices, but who are male, but they can't control it really. They have an excuse. He doesn't. Okay. As far as I know, he doesn't. He just speaks like that and he thinks it's normal. Okay. But yeah, he's very antagonistic. He likes to poo out insults whenever he feels like it. So he's an ad hominem, cycling, hangman fallacy, or straw man fallacy producing antagonizer. He has no sense of control over what he does. Okay. There's one person in a video of his brought out that almost all of his argument was nothing more than bandwagon. Okay, let me see if I can present that. Okay, let me see. Redline. Okay. Okay, so let's see. He's probably going to produce a video about me because he's an idiot. He's like, well, I'm going to disprove you because, you're just like this flat earthers and whatever. Guy has no self-control. He needs to get an anger management course or something because he has absolutely zero self-control. And he calls someone a racist for making note that he mostly hangs out with only white people. I asked him, why is almost all your hangouts just primarily white people or only white people? And there's one he shows where he has someone supposedly of African American on there, but come on, I mean, is he a regular? No, is he? He isn't. How long was he on there? Maybe a minute or two? No. Okay. And as most African Americans would point out, having one African American friend does not exclude you from being a racist. Even though I didn't accuse him of being racist, a black person could accuse him of being a racist because you only see him hang out with white people, and you often see him attack people who are against the mainstream ideology. What's the mainstream ideology mostly consist of? People who are primarily of European culture, Eurocentric culture. That's mainstream ideology. That's why things that are Afrocentric are usually attacked. Okay, even though they are also, there's some questionable doubts I have about them, but there's some validity to them. Yeah, there's some validity that there's some sort that the Afrocentric argument about Egypt, there's some validity to it because Egypt was a cosmopolitan state and there were Nubians, even though they did try to root them out, there were Nubians in their society. They did have Nubians in their society. Okay, Egypt was not a closed-minded society until much later when it started to decline. Okay, it was very open-minded. They had a lot of different people from Greece, people from Nubia, people from Libya. In fact, a lot of their pharaohs are of Libyan ancestry, especially the famous Ramses II. But they do have a considerable amount from the south of Upper Egypt, okay, which would be Lower Nubia, since Nubia is also divided like Egypt. So you have like Lower Nubia, Upper Nubia. But, I'm digressing. Let me see if I can find that image, because otherwise I'm wasting time. Okay, let's see. It doesn't have it here. Let me see. I'm going to have to go to here. Whatever. Oh, golly. Let's see if I can find it. Was it here? Oh, yeah, I think it was here. Okay. Yeah, okay. Let me see if I can find it. You can still have it posted here somewhere. Okay, so you have Steve Blakey talking to Redline Vite. Steve Blakely, I think he's Australian. Steve Blakely, my bad. Not really good pronouncing words. Let's see. Redline Vite talks to him, and is it here? Come on. Okay, yeah, he talks to me, whatever. Listed here? Okay, yeah, he's going, so almost there. Almost there. Damn computer freezes up on me. Okay, here we go. Here we go. All right, here we go. It's debunking an ISS hoax video by Stevie Blake. So let's see if I can find it here. Okay, it's the first comment he has on that video. Okay. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and print screen this. Send it to Paint. Alrighty. Now I'm going to save as. Alright, and I'm going to put it as discredit. Okay, save. Okay, so what do I have? Share screen right here. Put it on share screen now. Select the window to show in the video call. Oh yeah, here it is. Discredit. Share the screen. Here we go. So as you can see, as those, can I like zoom that up? So there one, yeah, sure. All right. Here it says, this really does seem like a bandwagon argument. What's with the guy dropping the F-bomb nearly every other word he said? He used to be a Christian, I believe. Guessing none of them are. Made a good point on a couple issues. Overall garbage in the way it's presented. And the way it's done in such a way as to try and tear the guy to pieces. Low blows and rolling. Whatever. Or just so super immature, debunked by 50% at best. Wow, and that's from Eric Green. See, and this is from that Redline Vite's video debunking a ISS hoax. Remember, you got to even put him on there. Yeah. So he's not really attempting to engage with him in this group activity of debunkers. Usually when you are debunking someone, you either bring the person along on there so they can argue their point of view, or you don't. and if you don't, then you're having actually a discussion about it. Now, some say that means you're debunking them, but another person who engages in this is, well, two people I know, the Amazing Atheist and Sargon of Akkad. Now, I know Sargon of Akkad. I somewhat know the Amazing Atheist. I've seen almost every video of his, and it'd be great if either one of them can let me join on there, because myself, I'm an atheist. But that's why I bring up about this. Is this guy says that he's also a skeptic? How is he a skeptic? How is he a skeptic? He's like, well, we have all this proof and all this other stuff. Yeah, that's words. That's words. Well, that's a thought experiment. That's not a thought experiment. There's no organization to it. Where's the organization? Is if it's a thought experiment, it has to have an engagement. It has to have a hypothesis. It has to follow an experiment. That's what a thought experiment is. It's an experiment engaged by rational argumentation. There is none of that. All he's doing is he's saying stuff without clarifying what he's saying. So it's cheeks and giggles for himself, but it does nothing that is an actual argument. The part about being in an argument with a person is that the person has to know what you're saying and what you're talking about. Okay? I don't know what he's saying because he's rambling. The guy rambles. He's too quick voiced. He's too anxious. And and part of that's because his voice is just too high pitched. But if he could slow it down, like this other guy I know of who's I'm not sure if he's actually friends with the Amazing Atheist, but he's also a fellow atheist. And, but his actually makes sense because he actually will talk to you about his condition, okay? Which, everyone has a condition. I mean, the Amazing Atheist has obesity. I'm obese. And I have certain disability as well. So everyone has a condition, so it's understandable. And some people has asthma or something else, so you can't really discuss. But Redline Vide, I don't think has any of those conditions. And the reason why is because of his antagonistic nature. He'd be much more sympathetic of people if he had an actual condition, because he would have something that would make him feel empathy of some sort. But, the guy's entirely apathetic beyond what you could possibly understand. The way he rambles is the way a child would ramble. And he's supposed to present himself as though he's part of all these astronomy groups and so forth. Is the guy over 18? I wonder if he's like just over 18 or something. I'm quite certain he's not 27 yet or 24. He hasn't I don't think he's developed that prefrontal lobe cortex, because his rational thinking is very underdeveloped. Now, of course, he can be over 27, still his prefrontal lobe might not have developed, because a lot of people, there are a lot of people who haven't developed the prefrontal lobe. And you will see that in videos presented either by Sargon of Akkad or by the Amazing Atheists concerning the people that they're discussing about. You'll see it from the people that they are discussing about concerning people who should have a prefrontal lobe cortex and don't, or too underdeveloped to take notice. So, yeah. Anyways, I want to do this follow-up video to discuss certain keynotes about that. But yeah, back to the geoid structure thing, 'cause I think I overled that too many times. Yeah, as noted, it's, he brought it up that's the gravitational distortion of the Earth, but it's not. It's what the Earth looks like based on the gravity. Okay, there's nothing in there that actually says this is a screwed image of the Earth based on gravitational highlights on certain parts of the Earth. No. This is what the Earth looks like based on the gravitation of the Earth. It's worded differently than what he's trying to portray it as. Okay, he's going to continue to present that argument, but it's because he's just, he's so argumentative, antagonistic. You can only argue with him so long before, he makes your blood sugar spike or whatever. And you can be perfectly healthy and that will happen because the guy is a monster. I mean, you can tell by the people he hangs out with. They're monsters too. They're just as bad or worse. But yeah, a geoid is that equipotential surface of the Earth's gravitational field that most closely approximates the mean sea surface. At every point, the geoid surface is perpendicular to the local lumb line. It is therefore a natural reference for heights measured along the plumb line. At the same time, the geoid is the most graphical representation of the Earth's gravity field. But none of that says that it's not the actual structure of the Earth. He's saying that it is. To me, that's what would account to an actual structure of the Earth, because a surface structure is most commonly developed by one's gravity. Okay. I mean, you wouldn't say with a human being, but large structures that are astronomical in structure he brought up about are often shaped by gravity, which he did say. Then he went against that by talking about how this image, let me see if I can bring it up. Share screen. There we go. How this structure right here, how this right here is just a model representation of the Earth. Okay. Well, it is a model representation, but how it's not truly a representation of the Earth, but presented by its gravity, not by its optical presentation. But my point of view is that if you look from this at a distance with its atmosphere and oceans, you're not going to see these fundamental aspects to it. You're not going to see these portrayal views like this dip in India. You're not going to see that if you go far enough in space. You probably aren't even going to see that if you go far, 25 miles up in the air, or enough where you just see this curvature right here. Okay, that's just this right here. Okay, you're not going to see this if you're up in the atmosphere, because most of this is underwater. Okay, all you're going to see is Sri Lanka and India. Okay, you're not going to see this unless you have something that can scoot down into the ocean. You just aren't going to see it. Okay, and he's saying, well, blah 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 blah. Just ranting continuously rather than presenting a truly well-defined argument. So, bound his point. Okay, but yeah, it's just bogus. And then of course I had to cut him off because the guy wouldn't stop talking over me. Okay, he just wouldn't stop. He just riles up the argument, which shows you he has no sophistication. Now, you're not going to see this from the Amazing Atheist. You're not going to see this from Starting a Cut, mostly because Starting a Cut will cut you off before you even start. That's what you got to like about British people. They have a lot more intelligence than people from the South. Okay. But now, I wanted to, present that so that people can see it for themselves. Okay. The guy is completely... He needs to be on some medication. The guy needs to be put on some medication because there is something wrong with him. He either has ADHD or something, because he is too rambunctious for a normal human being. Okay? There are things wrong with him. All right? So that's just what I wanted to say. All right, this is me signing off. Hopefully it shows me signing off, not just cuts me when I say sign and then off. But okay. Anyways,